Clutching at my neck won't leave me alone. Will you see yourself back in the sun? The light it stings while the night it sings to me. And I'm normal how a story I can't tell, but they'll see the gift they've given to me. I could step aside, I could end this life, but this disease, it won't release, it won't be cured by the night. I guess I'm never coming back. I'm only on
Welcome back, everyone, to the SPbN By Night Twitch stream where we play St. Petersburg by Night, a 5th edition World of Darkness Chronicle set in St. Petersburg, Florida. My name is Kent, at Kent on all social media. I am the lead storyteller of St. Pete by Night, and tonight is episode 5 of Rage Across Tampa, our Werewolf the Apocalypse Chronicle set within Tampa, Florida, just across the bridge from St. Petersburg. It's been a wild week for our pack as the ending of the last episode saw the explosion of the energy plant that they were trying to quietly and carefully break into to find the source of the kindred threat that was occurring within the facility. Unfortunately, Ryder, the Red Talon, who had gotten their help for that particular mission, had other ideas, and his group, the Mongols, ended up destroying the facility entirely. But before we get into the story, go check out St. Pete by Night on all social media. We're on Instagram, we're on X/Twitter, we are on TikTok, and we are on YouTube. So if you're not caught up on all of the episodes of Rage Across Tampa, go check those out, either on Twitch or YouTube, and get caught up so you can know what's going on with our glorious pack. Speaking of our pack, let's take it over to them and allow them the opportunity to introduce themselves. Pack, go ahead and take it away.
Hey everybody, my name is Preston. I play Aiden Goodspeed, the Arun Galestalker.
Hey everybody, I'm Champ Champagne. I will be playing Aspen Weiss, the Philodox of the Silverfangs.
Hi, I'm Simon. I'll be playing Joseph Ashspeaker, the Theurge from the Ghost Council.
So, after the explosion last week, you parted ways with Ryder almost immediately. He took off, not even bothering to say thank you or goodbye. He was just away as soon as the mission had concluded, leaving you to kind of find your own way from there. And find your way you did as you quickly took off into the night, found your way back to the shop in Ybor City, and then immediately parted ways, heading off to your own separate locales and destinations. Over the week, you've managed to keep your heads down to try and avoid notice while news reports circled Tampa of a massive power outage that affected more homes than was originally expected, taking out almost 50,000 customers worth of power for several days. It took a few days for the power to be restored. Fortunately, based off of the location, none of you were affected personally, but the city itself had a very difficult time for a few days as several businesses were unable to open, commerce was unable to take place, people were unable to really leave their homes for the most part because in lieu of the explosion and the power outage, there was looting and several people suffered because of what occurred. Violence broke out on the streets, but were eventually taken out with order being restored by the Florida State Police, the Florida National Guard, and the Tampa Police. Tonight, it's been a few days. Power has just returned to those customers as several crews were brought in from all over the state in order to help ensure that power could be returned quickly. And an investigation is currently taking place as to what was the cause of the explosion at the electric facility that evening. Tonight we find Aiden and Aspen at Lettuce Lake Park, deep within the bowels of the park, where Aspen's RV has been carefully stashed away out of sight, not to be discovered by any park goers who are hiking the trails. Only those within the know would know the necessary maintenance road, how to get back to her private and hidden den. Here we find Aspen and Aiden still recovering from the events of the explosion. Aspen, your jaw has healed for the most part, but it definitely still is very, very sore, as you are not one to often change into your other forms unless absolutely necessary. Regeneration doesn't come easily to you. You've spent a lot more of your time healing the way most normal people do, which is just ice and rest and time. So the side of your face is still extremely bruised all along the jawline, and you find talking to still be somewhat of a strain, but you've let it rest long enough now that a lot of the swelling has gone down and you are able to speak a little more plainly. The scene is yours.
Aspen will be sitting on her lawn chair outside of her camper, not reading, not really doing anything, just kind of listening to the sounds of nature. She's dressed down from her typical attire. She's wearing like a baggy shirt, some like soccer pants, and just some plain white sneakers, and just resting, just thinking about what transpired just a few days ago.
Aiden will be out in the bush, and then he will make his way towards Aspen's RV from his lupus form, just kind of walking up. Aspen will kind of hear some rustling, some familiar sounds come out from some deep, thicker bushes, and then notice the wolf form, and then he'll revert back to his homid form, and then he'll just go and stand in front of her with a kind of perplexing look on his face.
Do you need something?
I don't know, to be honest. Can I talk to you about something? That's what people do, right?
That is what people do, yeah.
Okay. He'll just kind of sit down on the ground. So I got a hold of Duncan, like I said. I got some news about my family, and it's not. I don't know. It's good and not. It's
Hey. Take a deep breath.
they're alive, which that's good. But they're in a not safe place. They're at a chemical place, or maybe it's them. Duncan said he's looking into it, but I have these feelings that I don't know how to go about. I need to stay here because you're here. This pack's here, and I was chosen by Gaia to be here, which this is the purpose for this. But I also, my family itself could be in danger, but I need to stay here. So I have this feeling like I'm being ripped apart, and I don't know where I need to be, and I don't know. This is a feeling I'm not familiar or comfortable with. I feel like I owe them, but I know I owe you guys. I need to keep you all safe, but I said I'd keep them safe, and if I leave you guys, the same thing could happen to you that happened to them. So I don't know.
Okay. Just let's think about it for a second. What information did Duncan give you?
He said that he thinks he found them, and that they could be alive, and that they're at some chemical place.
He didn't give you a name?
Not that I remember. He said he was gonna look into it.
Okay. Well, that's good news. I know it's scary because before you didn't have any information about them, but you can't just run out there without knowing what you're getting into. You know, if the last couple days ago was any indication. Anyways, we can get some information from Duncan. You get as much information as you can, and I can look into it, and we can get enough information to make a logical decision. Okay.
Okay. So in the meantime, stay.
I think it's best to stay. I don't think running out there is going to make much of a difference without information.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So we'll stay and wait. How do you deal with this kind of stuff? Is there like a thing that people do for this?
Well, can you discern your feelings? Do you know what you're feeling?
Not great. Sad. I'm really angry. Like really angry. A sense of cowardice. I would think. Yeah, that's a word, right? Yeah. There's
That's
that.
a word.
Yeah, those are kind of the main ones.
Okay. Well, when you have feelings like that, I think it's best to do something that'll help. And I know you enjoy hunting.
Mhm.
Also make sure you're relaxing because you like to run all over the place, and sometimes you need to just get a little center, you know?
You'll adjust a little bit and try and get parallel.
That works. But I mean center in your thoughts and in your breathing.
Uh-huh.
Um what if we get information, we find out where they are and we find out what could be happening to them? Do you know what you want to do?
No, I don't. I want to stay here. I want to help them. I can't be torn. Well, I can, but I shouldn't be torn apart. I don't know if there's. I know that you help people in the way that I can't, so I don't know if there's a way that you could get them out of there with. Because if I go in, it won't be. I won't be nice about it. You're in to a way that kind of nicer than I am, sort of. But yeah, I don't know if there's a way that you can get them out where I don't have to necessarily get involved. I can give you what I know, and then if you could do that, that'd be really nice.
I could work on that for you. Yeah. You just have to give me everything that Duncan knows, get more information from him, and I can do some research and I can figure some things out.
Okay. So, center breathing and stop running around.
That's simple, but just take care of yourself.
Okay. I'll try that. I'll see how it works.
You can't help
Talking about it.
anybody if you're, hurting.
Yeah. talking about it, I guess, helps a little bit. Still really angry, but not as angry.
That's good. And if you want to talk about it more and you think of more feelings or, more things that might be worrying you about the situation, you can always come back and talk to me.
Okay. Well, something else I'm worried about is that night at the big building. Aspen, you can't get hit very well. You kind of suck at it. Like your face, like
I'm aware. I'm aware of that, Aiden. Thank you.
we should work on that. I'll
We will
work
work-
on this. You get hit in the face better. I think that'll help.
Yep. We'll work on it. We'll work on that. I will be doing my best to stay out of those things. Pull more of an arty in those situations if I can.
But pull an Artie.
He sits in the van.
Weren't you in the van?
Yeah, and then I was out of the van, and that's how I got hit in the face.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Okay, so stay. Yeah. You stay there. I'll stay here. Yeah, that's a good plan.
I think that's a great plan. Yep.
You could deal with that faster. You do however you want.
I prefer it this way. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. Nope, no pressure.
But we'll figure it out, okay? Don't worry.
Thank you. You're a good person.
You're a good person too, Aiden.
Aiden, your phone chimes with the familiar sound of a Nokia text message coming in. A very shrill, kind of beeping noise breaking the silence.
Pull it, like, is there a way to make it so it doesn't do this? It's annoying.
Yes, we can put it on vibrate, but you probably should take a look at that.
He'll swipe.
So as you open up the phone, you see a text message from Artie that says, "Hey, I know you were planning on swinging by Joseph's shop for a chat. Thought I'd offer to give you a ride if you were up for it."
And he'll one finger like, yes, please.
You try to the best of your ability to type out the words "yes, please," but really you get a "yeah, plushie" before sending. After a moment later, a little emoji pops up of a yellow face with a laughy, cryy look, little teardrops coming out the side, and it says, "I'll be there in 5."
Artie's gonna swing by. I need to talk to you, Joseph, about something. We good? You good?
I'm all right. You okay?
I'm better.
Good.
After a few minutes, the familiar roar of Regina, kind of puttering along, comes down the service drive to the back of the park. The headlights being the first thing you see, kind of reflecting off of the trees and shining off of the water of the river nearby. And eventually the Jeep comes to a halt. Not too close to the RV, but close enough that it makes it very clear that he has arrived and is not looking to intrude. After a moment, the car quiets and the door opens and Artie climbs out. And as he kind of makes his way over, he seems to be carrying what looks to be one of those small handheld coolers that is often reserved for carrying ice packs or beer or soda. Not big enough to bring an entire dinner, but enough to carry the basic essentials. And as he kind of comes up, hey, got something for you. He points to Aspen.
Yeah. What's up?
He pops open the cooler and pulls out an ice pack. Figure you could probably use this, and hands it over to you, and then kind of digs around in one of his jacket pockets and then pulls out a bottle, a small pill bottle with a rattle of pills inside, and says, "These were a little bit harder to get, but I know a few people." And he passes it over. And it looks to be Vicodin.
You Ernie.
Well, you like to do things the old-fashioned way, so figured make it as easy as possible.
I appreciate that.
How are you feeling, by the way?
I feel fine. I'm working through the pain. I'm all right.
Kind of stares for a few moments, kind of trying to discern what's really going on beneath, but quickly dismisses it after a moment. So, we were gonna head over to Joseph's. Did you want to ride with us, or?
Yeah, I think it'd be good if we all get together. That'd be a good idea.
Okay. Cool. Hop in. And as you kind of make your way over to the Jeep and open up the door, it's not the same cavalcade of energy drinks that it normally is. There are some, including two, a Red Bull and a Monster in the center console, but all of the recyclables look to have been removed from the vehicle to make sure that there was enough room for passengers, as if he was almost expecting that you would accept his invitation and that it wouldn't be an uncomfortable ride. You climb into the vehicle, and he spends a moment muttering beneath his breath, calling upon the gift of gremlins to spark Regina to life. And at first, as he's speaking, it's the same kind of rhythmic tone that he usually uses every time he activates the vehicle, but after a few moments, he pauses, which you know, timing-wise, is usually the time the vehicle sparks to life, but nothing happens. And he kind of furrows his brow a little bit. What's wrong, baby? He tries the same process of the gift again. And almost with a hesitant and slightly disgruntled response, the car slowly coughs and sputters and the engine comes to life. "I promise we're not going back there," he says to the steering wheel as he kind of gives it a slight pat. And then eventually puts the car into drive and pulls out back down the dirt, kind of bumpy, potholed service drive that is overgrown with grass and hasn't been maintained for quite some time, other than yourself and Artie coming through. As you hit the road, the first bit is a lot of silence. Artie kind of focusing primarily on driving, his eyes on the road. But every now and then he kind of glances over in Aspen's direction and then looks in the rearview mirror at Aiden sitting in the back seat. "I really don't know how to feel about all this," he finally says. I mean, a part of me is really happy that we did it, because we need to get rid of them. I mean, they're the problem, right? They're why we're here. But I don't like how it all went down.
There's a lot of it's really dark, which is odd for this place. It got like really dark. I thought we weren't doing that. I thought that was not the plan.
Wasn't our plan. But it wasn't about our plan, was it? From the very beginning, it wasn't about what we wanted, what we were doing. We were just...
Fodder for him. A means to an end. Toys.
Not a toy.
Well, you were that night.
Okay. Devil's advocate, benefit of the doubt. As somebody who's been one of us in this city for a decade now, it's been hard times. I get that. You know, I wasn't around to see everybody leave, but it's been tough. You know, knowing all of the wrong going on around you and feeling like there's nothing you can do about it. I get that, but I don't know. It felt aggressive even to me.
If I remember right, maybe I was at a different place. He openly killed, sacrificed, however you want to explain it away, several people that night. Innocent people.
I think that's a matter of perspective in regards to innocence. I mean, if they're working with leeches, how innocent can they be?
Aren't they asleep?
Oh, you're talking about the oh. Right, those people. I kind of tried to shove that part out, but you're right. And then the people working there. Fuck.
I do feel I was told to follow the elders, and from what I can tell, he's one of the elders left here. Unless I'm mistaken.
No, you're right.
And that's kind of what we do, right? Like an elder says, "Hey, this is the plan." You follow and you do that. But
That could
I haven't been in a place like this. I don't know what the rules are for this.
I mean, I don't like being the one that says that the rules are subjective, but in that case, they are subjective. You're supposed to submit to your elders, to your leaders, but submitting to them does not necessarily mean following them blindly.
That's fair.
Well, it didn't help that he was the only one who remembers how it used to be. I mean, I don't. I know what the other moots are like, and it's nothing like that, but, you know, I don't know what they went through. I don't know what it was like here before, but I don't assume it involved blowing up buildings and killing people. I mean, our fights with the leeches, not with everyone else. All the people who lost power afterwards.
It was extreme and it was unnecessary. And we tried to stop it and we failed, unfortunately. I personally, I don't think that the ends justify the means in that case, and I don't think it's a good idea to be around him moving forward. He puts us in danger, he puts the world in danger.
But he's one of us. Still. And we don't really have a lot of other options, do we?
So we become domestic terrorists for the cause?
Maybe we can help him. Maybe he needs guidance himself.
He seemed to enjoy watching the fighting. He seems to enjoy it. Like I enjoy a fight, but bloodbaths not so much. He relishes in it. Not the condiment. The you know what I mean.
Yeah. I don't know how to talk to a person like that. Somebody so passionate to something that seems destructive.
I don't know. Everything that we did in the Northwest, we were clean about it. We didn't destroy things. We removed what needed to be removed, but never at the cost of innocent people. Lots of looking into was done before we acted on anything, especially with our tribe. Do a lot of looking around before we do anything like that.
Reconnaissance. The word's reconnaissance.
Yeah,
Or
that's
recon.
Well, I don't know. You guys probably can tell that I have strong opinions about what happened, but I think we should at least talk to Joseph before we really, talk too far into a hole.
No, for sure. I feel kind of split on the issue because he is one of us, and we're all supposed to be a nation together. Although he's made it seem pretty clear that he didn't really think that it was as together as it seems.
Also, he had no issue throwing us into the fire. If we're working together, we should be working together, and that's not what he was doing. So I'm not very split. Trust is earned and trust is given.
Yeah, you're right. Artie kind of falls quiet after that, just focusing on driving again, allowing that kind of sentiment, that thought, to hang in the air for a long while. And after probably another 20 or so minutes of driving, you find yourself outside of Dysfunctional Grace in Ybor City, a curios and oddities shop that has become kind of the primary gathering place of your pack. Artie pulls into one of the back parking lots off the main drag of Ybor City, where you're not really renting the parking from the city, you're renting it from the chickens, who have called that place home for decades, leading back to when it was almost Little Cuba that dominated Ybor City. As the car comes to a stop, he says, we're here. I think I'm gonna stay out here if you wanna head on in, Aiden. I know you said you wanted to talk about something personal, so I don't want to interfere. Aspen, you want to chill with me?
Yeah, that seems fine.
Cool. Let us know when you're done.
Yeah. He looks to his phone like, I'll just come out here and wave you guys in.
Sounds good.
He'll get out of the car and make his way in.
Oh, wait. And she
Yeah.
grabs his phone for a second and turns it to vibrate and gives it back.
Whoa. So now it won't do the high pitched squeal.
You'll just feel vibration and you'll hear a little kind of a thing.
A lot less intrusive.
Yeah, the screeching's annoying. But yeah, thanks. He'll turn around and put it in his pocket and head in.
So you walk across the parking lot and head into, or I should say arrive at the back door of the Dysfunctional Grace, which is mostly meant for deliveries. It's a windowless door with what looks to be a little doorbell or buzzer that rings to the inside. While normally you might approach from the street, keeping a low profile has been the priority of the pack over the past few days, not knowing what anyone knows, not knowing what anyone saw. You prefer to keep things as quiet as possible. So you approach the door. As a bookkeeping note, because of the intensity of the situation and the past few days, everyone remains at a rage 2. As you are on high alert, and your hackles, as they were, are slightly raised to the possibility of whatever threat could be imposing. But Aiden, you find yourself outside of the dysfunctional Grace.
He'll look at the button and then just kind of like jab at it.
Joseph, you hear the familiar chime of the delivery doorbell. You weren't expecting a delivery this night, but you know it can mean only one thing. Aiden has come for the visit that he had mentioned the last time the two of you spoke.
Alright, I'll go back and slowly open the door to double check that it's Aiden, and then when I see him out there, I'll let him in. Aiden, come on in. Come on.
Thanks. He'll walk in.
How you been feeling?
That's a hard thing to answer. Better than I was earlier today, so we're getting there.
You want something to drink?
What are you drinking?
I got a herbal blend that I can pour for you.
Sure, yeah,
Yeah.
I'll try that.
Get some leaf water for you.
Oh, okay, yeah, I know what that is.
We'll get him a cup of tea.
Thanks.
Yeah.
He'll go and find a comfy spot and just kind of plop down. So,
So,
um,
go ahead.
I brought up an issue to Artie. Artie told me to talk to you about dreams.
Okay. I can possibly help with that. What kind of dreams?
Weird ones. Now, as since becoming a human, I get weird ones, but some of them have stuck out, and I think about them pretty often. The one that I remember the most is probably like maybe 2-3 months after turning. My dream consisted of me waking up in my den back in Oregon, and then running out to this open field. And this run took a little bit longer than normal. It usually only took maybe 5 minutes from the den to the meadow. This took a while. Once I got there, my entire family was there, and they were out just kind of running in the meadow. There was new pups there. My siblings were there, the matriarch, the patriarch, they were all there. And it was kind of like old times. I saw everyone running, heading north. And so I proceeded and followed, and I was behind making sure that all the pups made it. And as they crossed over the meadow, the trees opened for them and then closed. And as I was about to get there, a large cavern almost opened into like the meadow, and this black ooze and gas started bubbling almost out of it. The sky was no longer nice and blue, it was red, and from behind I just saw this giant shadow, and it almost like a big black gas the hand reached out towards me, and I tried jumping over the cavern, and I fell in, and I then woke up, and it was like sweating, and I was like gripping the dirt. Yeah, and that's now I haven't had it again, but it's kind of in the back of my mind constantly.
Yeah, typical dream will fade. the fact that this stayed with you for a while probably means it's important, either important to you or important to something else. Dreams can be a lot of things for us. For humans and for wolves, dreams, I think wolves dream. I know domestic dogs do. Um, Dreams are a way for us to process what we're dealing with, right? It's a way for our brains to shuffle all the paperwork and figure things out. But when you become more, when you realize you're one of Gaia's chosen, they can be even more than that, more than just processing. Sometimes they're messages, sometimes they're the spirits reaching out to us. I can't say for sure if this is a spirit giving you a message or not, but this I mean, it sounds. This came what, 2 months after your first change? You said.
Yeah, roughly about there. So that
So
was several years ago now.
so when you first changed, you're kicked into a new world, right? This is for any of us. We're pushed into something entirely new, and there's always that urge to resist. There's the refusal of the call. Some people might say, and that's what this dream sounds like to me. It sounds like you start with the wish of keeping things as they were, but there's the call to do more, the call from the spirits, the call from Gaia is pulling you, and the threat of the worm and of the death of, or imminent death, or damage to Gaia is the blackness you're seeing, is the cavern, is the smoke, is the threat, and there's that conflict to go back to the comfort, to stay where it's warm and where you're welcome and where it's peaceful. But there's always in the horizon something looming, something that's threatening that. And even if you can hide in your cage, in your little safety of the woods or in the safety of your home, that only lasts so long, and you have to face that threat. And I think that dream sounds like you're trying to process that, to figure out the balance between the two, whether you're going to run to comfort or face the darkness. And you've already chosen in your dream to face the darkness, to go back and jump towards it and jump away from it. And it's gonna suck. We're gonna fall, and we're gonna make mistakes, and we're gonna get hurt. But that bravery was in there in that dream, that acceptance of the call, while the hesitation's there. But the heart of a warrior lies in you, and you are accepting that call.
So I made the right choice, is what you're saying? To
I
stay the course? Is that what I'm...
I can't tell you for sure. I would be remiss if I didn't say yes, as being one of the chosen as well. But yeah, stepping up and making a change in some way, making the choice to stand against your own desire for comfort, against your own regret of loss of something, will make the pack and other packs safer. We're called to do that. We're called to sacrifice our own comfort to make a difference. So yeah, you're making the right choice. And in our actions here, in our growth as a pack, we'll be able to do things that will make people safer, including the loved ones we left behind.
So sometimes the right choice is just the uncomfortable, hard one.
Most of the time.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah, that's what we're chosen for. That's why we have the gifts we have, and that's why we have our teeth and our claws. That's why we have our ability to heal. Speaking of, how's Aspen? Is she healing okay?
Don't mention the puff. She doing great. Just
Okay, I'll get something and I'll be discreet. Don't worry about it.
they are outside. We kind of wanted to
Oh,
have a small chat. I just wanted to
okay.
talk to you.
Yeah,
but
no. I
I
want
go.
you to have your time.
Yeah.
Do you need
that
more?
that was actually more helpful than I was anticipating. That kind of umbrellaed a lot. Thanks, and your leaf water's hot. And he'll take a drink.
I'm glad you enjoy it. Yeah, you can bring him in if you want.
Yeah. He'll go outside and kind of. Oh, is the door locked?
Not from the inside.
So actually, while you're having this conversation, we're going to transition simultaneously to a conversation taking place in the car, over in the Jeep. Artie kind of sits pensively behind the wheel, seemingly same furrowed brow, focusing on the steering wheel itself. And in this kind of pensive stance, it almost ages him a bit. Normally, with the long, sandy blonde dreadlocks and his kind of attire choices, he would look maybe like an elder hipster, or kind of, in his late 20s, but with the furrowed brow, it almost makes him look older, maybe more appropriately his age, into his 30s. But he kind of stares at the steering wheel and the dashboard of the car as if he's having a conversation that no one else is a part of, or at least trying to consider what to say to Regina. After a few moments, he kind of shakes it off and looks over. So all that, you're doing okay. That's bullshit, right? Keeping up appearances?
What's it to you?
We're a pack. That's what it's to me. What happens to you happens to all of us. And if you're suffering alone, well, we can't have that.
I'm not good at this.
Same. I got by being the lone kind of guru from Tampa who just came and hung out at the big family functions, like the kind of black sheep nephew. Sure, I'd find other glasswalkers and we'd chat about tribe business, or what the latest update to Windows is and how we can exploit it. But I never had to do the group thing either. So you're not alone in that.
I guess the group thing is okay. I don't know. You ever wonder if it was a mistake? If it just wasn't meant for you?
If it wasn't meant for me, who was it meant for?
Somebody far more capable, somebody who wants it.
Is anyone capable of this? Is anyone ready for this? Can anyone be? Before the change, all we knew about werewolves was in movies and books. Can anyone really accept the truth that the Earth isn't just a hunk of rock that science told us came from an explosion, that it's a living thing? And I'm not talking living in the, tree-hugging nature way, although it is kind of similar. I'm talking about living as in it speaks, at least to those who know how to listen. I don't know a lot about that, but I know that even manufactured things seem to have a voice. And he kind of touches the steering wheel again. Who can
Yeah,
be ready for this? Who can be prepared? Who can choose this without knowing everything already? You kind of have to become us to figure out if you are fit for it, but something thinks you are. Something thinks I am, or else we wouldn't have changed.
I guess so.
But yeah, I think about it. I thought about it a lot in the first few years, especially not knowing where I was going or what I was doing, not knowing if there were any others like me. It took a long time for me to find out that there were others, and then to find them, and then to find out what had happened here.
The other ones, they just seem so ready. They just seem, I don't know, hell-bent on going out there. Hell-bent on jumping in with both feet. It seems, it's honestly, if I'm being honest, it just seems ridiculous. It seems idiotic.
It is. It's absolutely idiotic. All of this is. I think that they see a desperate situation. All of you are still fairly new to this, even those that have been around a few years. And that knowledge that the world is dying, it's overwhelming. It's terrifying. And I think that some people react with enthusiasm, like a desperation to do something. But the truth is, it's not that much worse off than it was when I changed. This has been the state of things for some time now. It just feels worse to those who haven't been seeing it and listening to it all along. It was probably better off when there were more people fighting for it. Probably seemed better, but in reality, like, the world has been going through what the world's been going through for a while now. People get their guru membership card, and they want to go at it. The powers are exciting. The change is exciting. The anger is a big factor. But if the world's not dead yet after everything it's been through, I mean, look at the past. We had the atomic bomb. We had pollution off the charts. We've had the Industrial Revolution. The world's been through a lot. If it were gonna die, it would have died by now. But it's still here, and so are we. The rest of the world isn't like Tampa. Tampa's kind of an exception. There are packs in other places that are just simply maintaining, protecting, keeping the status quo, making little changes. We're in a special situation because we don't have others to help us. That's why I kind of feel all squicky inside about this whole rider thing, because I'm like, can we really afford to lose another person, even if their mind is all fucked up and angry? Maybe what we need to do is get people like him and Eliza back on the right path. fix their minds, and then we can put in the good fight. Maybe that's why. Maybe that's what the calling was, not to go after the leeches and to make the change, but to get the people who are fit to do that kind of thing back on the right path, to get the nation back in town.
How? How? Do you know how?
Personally, no. Therapy?
Usually people like that don't think they need therapy.
Yeah, but you crack that egg, everybody kind of comes around. Just takes a little more effort to get them started. But I'm sure someone has to know. Maybe Joseph knows. He's all spiritually aware and in touch. Maybe he's got some answers to this, but really I think it's just reminding them why we're doing this. Why we have to fight, but not everything. Why it's not the world against us, it's the worm or whatever. I think when you're someone who's had everything taken from them, it's easy to go one of two ways. In one way, you get angry, you lash out, you blame the world or the powers that be or even a specific entity because it's unfair. Or you give up. And you just stop caring. And I think that's what we're seeing. For both of them. But there's still Guru. There's still people. And people hurt. Do we give up on people because they're hurting?
No.
Now don't get me wrong. I'm not going to be first in line to sign up for any of Ryder's missions in the future. I'm not going to be joining the Mongols and riding off to cause terrorism wherever they go, but he's upset. He feels betrayed. He feels lost. He feels angry, and he blames the world. Can we really fault him for that?
I guess not. Wish, he just cared a little bit more about others in the process, but
Yeah.
I get your sentiment.
Maybe that's what we're here to do. Is to remind him to care about others. To give him something to care about besides his anger or his revenge.
Well,
Or maybe we're here to stop him. But I think we need to try the former before the latter.
well, if I'm good at one thing, it's convincing people. I can't see ghosts. I can't punch a vampire in the face, and I can't talk to technology, but I could sure talk to somebody, talk them into something.
Well, I'm glad to have a lawyer on retainer.
Yeah, it seems like we're probably gonna need one.
Oh yeah, probably. If things keep going the way they've been going. But
Yeah.
I get where you're coming from. I know I'm doing a lot of devil's advocate, a lot of giving the benefit of the doubt. He's dangerous and he needs to be stopped. There's no question about that. And if it has to be in that way, then it has to be. But if there's another option, we would be kidding ourselves to not try and find it and take it, because the litany says we don't kill each other. So we can't afford that. We don't know how many more of the chosen ones there'll ever be. Maybe we're the last. At this point, the door to the back of the shop opens and Aiden kind of steps out. Hey, before we go in, I'm on your side. I got your back, and I can empathize too. So if you need to talk, like really talk about what this is like and what you're going through, just know that you can, and I won't judge you for it. I've seen a lot. I haven't done a lot in nothing like that, but I've seen others and how the whole shebang works. So, I know what it's like. I know the struggle. So you're not alone, and we are a pack, and you don't want to be the weakest one in the pack.
I appreciate it.
With that, he opens the door and climbs out of the Jeep, and the two of you make your way across the parking lot to meet Aiden at the back door. We're going to take a 5-minute break, and when we come back, the pack will reassemble to discuss the fallout of what had happened, to discuss what they're going to do next, and where they're going to go from here. Stick around. It'll only be 5 minutes, and we will see you after the break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. I hope you had a good break. For those just joining us, it looks like the feed may have dropped out for a brief moment there earlier on. So just to recap, the pack has reassembled at the shop that Joseph currently maintains and works at to discuss what to do, what the response will be after the fallout of the actions at the electric company. Aiden and Joseph had a brief discussion about dreams, where Aiden had relayed a dream that seemingly may have been a message from the spirits beyond. Gaia perhaps calling out to young Aiden that his purpose was not being fulfilled and that he needed to move forward. But now let's get back into the action, where we find ourselves in the back room of the shop. Joseph, Aiden, Aspen, and Artie gathered around a small table that Joseph usually reserves for readings. Fresh cups of tea have been poured for everyone sitting at the table. Artie seems to also have the large can of Monster from the center console sitting on the table next to the tea. He seems to favor the Monster, but occasionally takes a sip from the tea, if nothing, to be respectful. So, wild week, he kind of says. Has anybody heard from Jester? Well, that's a little disconcerting.
Best not to, be out during things like that.
Probably not. So we got a problem. I think we're all in agreement about that. Ryder is kind of a loose cannon. Eliza, I don't even know what to say about Eliza. If I remember what Jester said, she'd been cleaning up there. But I drove by yesterday and didn't seem like she'd been there in a few days. But she said she thought she was attacked?
Yeah, something about a skeletal hand while she was there cleaning.
Yeah, the same kind of sounded like the same thing it got me at the graveyard. It's a Bane reaching through the gauntlet, be my guess.
I mean, I know all about Bane's Artie lies, but maybe you should go over it just to, fill everybody in.
Okay. So being creatures of flesh and spirit that we are, everything in this world has a spirit. Whether it's Regina, or the trees, or Gaia herself. There are spirits that reside all around this world. The signals through the airways, the electricity running through the wires, the water in the streams, the oceans, all have spirits on the other side that are either manifestations of those things, or maybe the essence of the world's thought of those things. We don't know, but they have real influence. And whatever happened long ago to take the world out of balance, the spirits attached to the worm became corrupted along with the worm. Some of those spirits we call Banes, spirits of corruption, spirits of death, of not nice death, I guess. If death was balanced, it would be a calming. I don't know. But like, when you get to a place that's very polluted, you'll get banes of pollution. When you get to places of nuclear radiation, you'll see banes of radiation. You get to places of great violence, you'll get anger banes, and these manifestations of these emotions or these ideas. The things that grabbed Jester and I were very likely pollution banes. They have, depending on which tradition you ask, who you ask, they're going to have fancy names for it. But it seems like those were banes of pollution, of disrepair, of decay, but not like, oh look, there's a raccoon on the side of the road decay, like rot, spiritual rot. They're a pain to deal with. They are often very powerful nowadays because there's so much that can feed them. So that's probably what we're dealing with. Corrupted worm spirits that are being fed by whatever maladies are affecting this region. And with the stories of, what was it, Mary, I don't want to say her name, given the way her name is, fed and be very dangerous. Ones that can reach through the gauntlet and affect us on the physical level are kind of terrifying.
Can they possess things or people?
Yes.
Is it just like Banes or?
I don't know. I think all spirits can. I know there are some of my moon that have talked to spirits to get them into objects. If you put a wind spirit and make a deal with a wind spirit to go into a bow, it'll shoot really, really far. Things like that. Those are things that have been done in the past. Some traditions frown on entrapping the spirits in that way, depending on how bossy you want to be. So yeah, Regina is technically a car possessed by a spirit or more. That can be a way that we may use the word possession for that. And sometimes you'll get humans or animals possessed. Usually spirits of Gaia or of the wild or even of the Weaver won't go into a human. Weaver will prefer Weaver things. The wild will prefer animals, but they don't do that as often. When you see a human possessed by a spirit, very often is going to be a Bane because they really don't care. Also, I'm being too fair in and personifying them. Some spirits don't have very complex thought. They do a job. A squirrel spirit is a squirrel. Some powerful squirrel spirits may be able to talk to you. Ratatosk of mythology could have been seen as, a powerful squirrel spirit. So sometimes, like the spirits in the wires, you can't really have a conversation with them. Usually, they vary.
So is there like a depression spirit or a depression bane? Because like
I don't think. I think what's happening to her is twofold. I don't know much about these conditions, but I've heard them talk about with some elders, and I've heard a story that kind of gives me some hope. In my old cairn, there was an elder that was talked about who was a theurge, and they lost their pack in a battle. They were the last survivor, and they fell into a depression. But we don't do any emotions in half measure now that the rage is in us. So a Geru's depression is harder. And there was a word for it, and it's not coming to mind, but there's a term that elders use for, this loss of purpose.
So
And
you
it's
think
not.
she's suffering Harano?
That's it. That's the word. Yeah, I think it's that. But because it sounds like that, I think the fact that she's in Harano is just drawing the Banes to her. There are Banes around. She can't put up a defense. We are more obvious to spirits because we're twofold. We're more than humans are technically twofold too, when everything is technically, but we're more, right? That side of us is open, and even if we lose ourselves, that side of us is still open. So she could be a defenseless beacon. And if she's undergoing Harano, the story I remember being told was of this theurge who lost himself to Harano and decided to take one last trip into the Umbra. And so he crossed the gauntlet in his cairn and walked and just left with no intention of coming back and just letting go of the world and losing himself into the Umbra. And as he walked and he followed these trails that the moon spirits would open and close, he came across this stone in a glade, and it shone different to him. It kind of, I think that it was like shiny. It was like glowing, but not like a light. It just had this special thing to him, and he picked it up and he sat with it. And when he sat with it, he felt Gaia in this stone, and in sitting with it and trying to understand it, some of that desire to make a change came back. He found some of his purpose again. I think the elders called these Gaia's tears. They exist throughout the Umbra randomly throughout, and finding one has been rumored to be a way to get someone back from Harana or from it was another H word, Hoglosk, and I think that's Ryder. Hoglosk is the opposite, when the drive is too much and you lose yourself to the rage. You lose yourself to the need to get stuff done. You just lose all patience and you've gone too far and you lose all compassion and understanding, and there's only the job.
Well, that sounds
So
like
there might
Ryder
be
to
a way
me.
Yeah, especially like I know the Talons can be a little extra, like they have a reputation. So the spat with Aiden, I was like, okay, that's a Talon, and that's a thing that can happen. I've seen that, but he's lost. He's a loose cannon, and he either needs it brought back or brought down, and I don't know that we have the authority or has more honor. He did not show any honor or wisdom.
Not that I've seen.
And
Glory.
technically, go ahead.
No, that's it. Glory maybe, but none of the other.
And technically, the full verbiage is to submit to those of higher station.
That's true.
There's no station here.
It's not even a cairn.
That said, I don't know how easy it would be to put him in his place. Maybe fixing is better.
Well, assuming what you're saying is literal and not some sort of metaphor like the Bible or anything like that.
Oh man, no, like the debates that I've heard in the few times I've been around too many theurges, take all of this as interpretation of a world that no one can agree upon, but it is rumored we can come back from these things.
Okay, so hypothetically, say we can cross over. Say we can track down one of these tiers.
Yeah.
What if it's only one? Who would we
That's-
give it to?
That's a
mean-
good question.
Eliza's so beyond. She's given up. I mean, she's there's nothing there. And then Ryder he's a lot. But he's still in the fight. I mean, I know Eliza said she's a stargazer, and I don't know how much any of you know about the stargazers, but they walked away. Like, all of them. They just up and separated from the nation. And I mean, I guess they're still fighting the fight, but from what I've known over this past 10 years or so, they're not with us. They're doing their own thing. And who's to say that we get this tier and we give it to her and she finds her way back, that she doesn't just leave too. That she doesn't just go with them. I mean, they're her people. They've been her people. Would that just be wasted?
I mean, she was here when it all went down. She was still here. She didn't leave. So there's some connection to this area, to this cairn for her. But yeah, like the fact that if we're looking to get someone from the nation back, she wouldn't be our liaison to them if we can pull her back into the fight.
But also, we don't even know if this thing exists or how much it helps. I mean, maybe it takes the edge off. Maybe instead of killing all the people, like Ryder seems one to do, maybe he'll kill half. Or 3/4. Like, is it...
I'm of two minds. Logically, the smartest choice would be Ryder. And it's for a few reasons. If it does happen to bring him back to his normal level, none of us have seen him at his normal level, I guess. Then that gives us someone who's a part of the nation. Also, whereas Eliza's condition is not great, we can clean up a yard, we can clean up a house. We can't rebuild a building. We can't bring lives back. So it seems the best for just society as a whole to try and bring Ryder back. Personally, and also I don't know much about this part, but this is going off of a hunch. If we're bringing back a cairn, I'd assume it has to do a lot with appeasing spirits and such, which having a strong theurge, other than Joseph, of course, giving him extra help might be beneficial for bringing back a cairn. So those are my thoughts on both sides. Those are the pros and cons that I have going. I don't know if anybody would like to add.
Well, I mean, I think you're not wrong. I mean, as crotchety as she is, she talked. She's still, beneath all the depression and all the giving up hope, she seemed like she was still trying to guide. She was still trying to give advice, even if it wasn't the best advice. She seemed to, I don't know, maybe there was still something there. And maybe if it was brought back, if it was shown that there was something to hope for, maybe she'd step up. Maybe she'd go against what the rest of them have done. Maybe she wouldn't be an official nation member, but a mentor, maybe? And you're right. I mean, I don't know the first thing about starting up a cairn. If I did, I would have by now, but I don't know how to do that. I mean,
There are rites for that I don't know. I've not been taught. I would need someone to teach me. And I believe in one of our conversations, she alluded to knowing some of those rites. She may be necessary for, I mean, unless we find some other people. But Ryder sure won't be able to teach me those rites.
Well, if we help her, wouldn't she owe us one? Maybe she'd help. Maybe she won't stay, but maybe as a repayment for bringing her back, she could help get it up and going. And if she wants to go on her way, then maybe that's something that she'd be okay with.
It's possible. But we will still have the threat of a crazy, bloodthirsty Elder Barun out there.
Yeah, what are we gonna do about that if we can't bring them both back? Because he might be a little upset that we go and do this without him.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's interested in the spiritual side of things. That doesn't seem to be his focus. His focus is the leeches. His focus is getting revenge. And it just feels like either he's gonna let the leeches know we're here, in which case we're gonna have to be really careful, assuming they don't already, or, you know, she could get worse. And we could lose the ability to activate cairns. I mean, I still believe the nation wants to do what's right by Gaia and by all of us, but they're not sending help. I mean, if they were going to, they would have no offense, sent more than just you guys.
Yeah, we need to make more noise for them on that side of things, not in the blowing up building side of things, but something that the nation will recognize.
My worry is with Ryder. You say that he acts in revenge for the leeches. Is us not continuing to help him, would that not enact a revenge against us?
Yeah.
I'm not strong enough to. I'm not strong enough to fight him.
Well,
He
not
is-
yet.
I thanks for the confidence, but I saw what he did down there. I was with him for most of it. If we
Here's the
go,
thing, Aiden. You're not alone. He is. He's got some bikers. But as for Geru, he's alone. There's 5
That's
of us.
Well,
And
we
we're a
hope there's
pack.
5. Like I said, I haven't heard from Jester. I mean, she might be lying low, but part
Will
of me
not
can't
help.
help but wonder.
She'll be back around. I know for sure. She sees what we're doing. She sees all of this as a bit of a calling for her. So
Okay, so all of the decision making aside, we got to find out if these tiers really do exist and if we can get our hands on one, which means we gotta. And he kind of shudders at the very thought of it, his dreadlocks quivering slightly.
You've not been over there much?
Not if I can avoid it.
Oh, no, it's beautiful. When you go to the right places.
When you go to the right places, but I've taken a couple of trips at the moots, and yeah, it's nice at first. It's kind of trippy in its own right, but there were things further away. Not at
When you go deeper.
the moot itself, but you could see it in the distance. You could see it just encroaching. I mean, we all took patrols, I guess, at the moots, both here and there, and it's a whole different level. But I mean, okay, if we've got to do this, then we need to be prepared. So you were talking about the spirits that can manifest in our world. Are there any other kinds?
I mean, yeah, if you can think of it, there's a spirit for it.
Because I've heard terms like jaggling or gaffling.
Yeah. So those are terms coined by some theurge way back for effective level. So the lowest level of almost no thought, just job kind of spirits. And as you work up through the tiers, they have different names. Jaglings, I believe, are the lowest kind of base animals, or the telephone, the things that just have a job and they do it. The most simple things. The washing machine spirit that just spins and spins and spins. Then as you go up, they get more powerful and they can start getting more complicated jobs. So really, the spirit world's like a pyramid, a bunch of pyramids, with the triad at the top. And so like the wild, the weaver, the worm, they have their spirits and they have their groups of spirits that do jobs for them, and the most powerful spirits underneath of them control not control but influence the spirits below. And so as you go down to the most simplest jobs, or the simplest concepts, you get the lower level spirits. And so there are some spirits you can have a full conversation with and you can philosophize with, and you can discuss or ask things of or get wisdom from. I mean, all of our totems all of our patrons are more advanced spirits that are higher level in the scheme of things, and so they oversee more things. So one patron may oversee, hunting and different elements, as it were, the way you may look at some video games and the way that like the pantheons would look at things. So those spirits are much higher level. What we're going to be looking at walking through the Umbra are going to be your lower level, usually your lower level. The things that scratch Jester and I would probably be Gafflings, low medium tier spirits in the realm of things, but still dangerous to us.
Artie kind of rolls up one of his sleeves, and reveals a tattoo that kind of branches over his shoulder and onto his chest that looks like a spider web that kind of extends out over his arm, and there's a perched little spider just on the top of his shoulder that seems to be just kind of like extending out, its different legs touching different parts of the web that extend out from him. Yeah, I know about the patron ones. Okay, so how do we fight them? I mean, we're probably gonna have to fight them. I don't think they're just here for a chat.
So, spirits that manifest or possess a physical body, you can fight over here, right? If a Bane possesses a human, a Fomori, or some of the forms of Banes possessing humans, the really weird stuff you might see, people made of bugs or whatever, you can fight them here. Yeah, sorry, Aspen, that's a thing. There are Bane spirits that go all Captain Planet supervillain on people. Yeah, it can get scary weird. Some theurgists think that the vampires are just humans possessed by a Bane, or a human corpse possessed by a Bane. That is up for very adamant debate at Moods. But yeah, so if they're possessing, you can fight them on the physical. If they're not, you either go to the other side, go into the Umbra and fight them, in which case your teeth and claws work over there too. Or you change the situation. If you can get rid of the problem, they lose their food, they lose their energy, and so you can get rid of a pollution spirit by making something not polluted anymore. Sometimes that's tricky because they may try to possess a person and fight you away to keep their trash where the trash is. But in that
Or
case,
made
you just
more
punch it back.
trash.
Yeah. So there's a couple ways.
If we fight them on the other side, it's going to show my ignorance. Excuse me. How do we get there?
I can take you. It's a ritual. It's a rite. It's one of the first. It's the rite that I was taught coming up. One just like Aiden's rite of making us keep our clothes on. That'll work on the other side too. We can bring our clothes with us if they're dedicated. I have a rite that I've learned that I can open a gate through the gauntlet and bring us through. It is a rite that we all will perform. When we're ready, I'll teach you what to do. All of our energy goes into it. It's a group rite like that. And then we do the same to come back.
Is it possible to get stuck?
Yes. It is absolutely possible to get stuck. It is possible to get lost. I've been through there a good bit. One of my good friends from my first camp, she loved the other sides. She taught me a few tricks. So I'm a little better at getting home than your average person, average theurge. So I'm not concerned about us getting lost as long as I stay alive on the other side.
We'll make that happen.
So it sounds like that's the next step then. I mean, we can still debate who we're gonna try and bring back. I mean, maybe we'll get lucky and find two.
It might
But
be a moot point if we can't find any.
that's a good point too.
Does anyone have? And I'm sad that I don't have this, given that everyone's looking to me for spirit stuff. But negotiating with spirits is not a Theurge's strong point. Understanding them, finding them, understanding the Umbra is. Does anyone have spirit speech by chance? Okay, that's fine. That's a gift that if you use it, you can convince a spirit to start talking to you if they're not being chatty. You can make a conversation happen. Any of us can be talked to by a spirit that wants to talk to us, but that gift will let you call one to you to talk. We may need the spirit's help on the other side to see if we can find one of these things.
Well, Aspen, you said you have the gift of gab. Maybe not the ability to make them come talk to you, but maybe if we encounter one, you can at least get them chatting.
Loons would probably be our best bet.
Yeah, I've never talked to. Well, I've never had like an open conversation with a spirit. But I'm open to it.
Yeah, they're not all that different. Regina and I have an understanding. They're just, you know, they have their own interests. You just gotta figure out what those are.
Sometimes their logic patterns will be different than you expect because they have such specific interests. It may take some flexibility. Trying to find things in the Umbra, I think aiming for a loon, a spirit of Luna, would be our best bet. Gaians would also help us, but yeah, a random oak tree spirit may not help us find something, or a little snake spirit may not. You know.
I'm pretty good at like tracking things. Does it smell like anything, or
That I don't know. I mean, do you know what a sad Gaia smells like?
kind of gestures?
Probably overwhelming.
So where would
Maybe
be,
I can find it.
where would be a good place to cross over? I mean, probably not her place, but
So we need somewhere where the gauntlet's going to be thin. That's tricky in a place that is so Weaver touched.
Would the lake work?
Natural places are better in general. Clean natural places are our best bet. That's going to make the veil, the gauntlet, thinner between the two, easier to pass through. When you're surrounded by Wi-Fi and surrounded by the stagnation of the Weaver, it's very hard to push through that. The more wild energy you find, the more fluid the barrier is, the easier it is to cross over. So yeah, maybe out in a park. The bigger the park, probably the better, because we can go further in. I bet smack dab in the middle of the Everglades would be amazing.
yeah, you got
Also
4 hours.
terrifying. Yeah, right. Also, I'd be afraid of what spirits lie on the other side, because there's going to be some really interesting wild spirits in the middle of a place like that.
Well, first
Okay.
off, how dare you? I happen to like my Weaver comforts. But secondly, Hillsborough State Park, I think could be a good place. It's massive. It's inland, so it's not as populated by tourists. And it's got quite a bit of expanse. I think if we went there, that'd be as good a place as any, and it's not 4 hours away and populated by gators.
Hillsborough was
That's
nice.
yeah. So that's all great. These are wonderful ideas. How do we find the thing, and how do we know it actually exists?
We're gonna need to ask for help.
Follow-up question. Who?
Well, we don't have any other gear to ask, so the spirits. We're gonna have to go over and find a spirit that could help us find them.
Shot in the dark, but should we try Eliza? See if she'll give up maybe a little bit of information. I mean, I know she's grumpy and smells bad, but
She'll know what we're doing.
yeah. And if she's got a bane, they'll try to resist it. They'll try to stop it.
Yeah, she'll be like, no, you're not gonna fix me. I'm perfectly fine as I am. It's just a hunch.
You could just tell her it's for Ryder.
It's dangerous. She would know that. She may recommend the other option, but it may be a decent idea.
She seemed hesitant to want to help, but she did give us good information. She would give us good information and then say, but it's useless. So maybe we could at least get the information, peppered on with the hopelessness.
Just a big old grain of salt.
Well, I think it'd be good to lay down low for the next few days at least, and then try and find Jester. She seems to have a rapport with the old lady, at least enough that she hasn't been shot or shooed away terribly hard. So I think if we find Jester and then we pay her a visit, I mean, the worst she's going to tell us is nothing. And then we're just still where we are. But if
Exactly.
she does have something to say, no matter how offhanded or subtle or minute it might be, maybe it'll at least get us going in the right direction and give us a pinpoint to go from. I mean, maybe she could just tell us they don't exist. At which point we know and we aren't risking crossing over into something that could be much, much worse.
Yeah, we can get possibly more out of her than we could ever get out of Ryder.
I agree. Ryder is more of a smash it as a solution.
At this point, Artie's phone lets out a chime. He kind of reaches into his pocket and fumbles for a second before pulling out his cell phone and swiping and then looking. And as he watches or reads what's on his phone, he kind of winces a little bit and turns the phone to face you. On the screen, you see what looks to be a video. And the video is a press conference taking place outside of Tampa City Hall. The chief of police is on the screen, and the lettering of the title headline is Duke Energy Plant Explosion. Investigation continues. The chief of police speaks as the video plays. Ladies and gentlemen, we know that it's been a difficult week, and we would like to commend all of the workers at Duke Energy, as well as the other energy companies that have helped restore the lights and the power within Tampa. We have come upon some information that makes us believe that this was not an accident on behalf of Duke Energy, and that there may have been some sabotage that led to the loss of those poor employees working at the facility that evening. The district attorney has assigned a special investigator and prosecutor to look into this case, who I'd like to introduce at this time. Special Attorney Mr. Edward Bateman. And he steps to the side, and a man in his early 30s, at least by his appearance, very stoic, hair gelled back, wearing a very, very expensive suit with a well-trimmed beard, steps up behind the microphone. Good evening, everyone. I was assigned by the district attorney to look into the explosion that happened recently at the Duke facility in South Tampa. Some leads came to light and some information came to our awareness of a group known as SPbN, a hacktivist environmentalist organization that in the days leading up to the attack did several inquiries into the facility. We believe that they are responsible for the explosion, and therefore I have received warrants for a Miss Chloe Robinson, Mia Nguyen, Jackson Foster, Caleb Lee, and finally, he kind of consults the page again, Angela Bennett, also known as Malicious Jester. If you have any information about these individuals or their whereabouts, call your local police station, and they will be apprehended and brought in to face judgment for their crimes. I assure you, these crimes will not go unpunished, and justice will be served so that events like this never happen again. He looks directly into the camera, almost staring through it. Wherever you are, we will find you. And that is where we're going to bring tonight's session to an end. Thank you so much to these amazing players for joining me this evening. Sorry, folks, for the technical difficulties we had earlier. Internet's been a little bit spotty, but hopefully all will be repaired by next week so that we can take a journey into the Umbra. We can find out what happens to the group known as SPbN belonging to Malicious Jester. Where is Jester? Hopefully we will have that answer and more when we return with episode 6 of Rage Across Tampa. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Check out St. Pete by Night on all social media. Come back to the Twitch channel on Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern, where the first episode of Don't Get Caught will be streamed. It's a pre-recorded episode, but it is story told by our own Crafty Mirage, who was on our After Dark series just a couple weeks ago, so check out those. Go check out on YouTube all the past episodes of Rage Across Tampa, all the past episodes of After Dark, all of the episodes from the first iteration of St. Pete by Night. Get caught up, because the action is picking up, and there are many more incredible stories to be told. And thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. Can't wait to see where we head next week. We'll see you then. Have a good evening, everybody.